Coming out this afternoon to commemorate our brother Malcolm X. It's May the 19th, 1925. Malcolm Little. Then Detroit Red. Then Malcolm X. El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, February the 21st, 1965. As we continue to commemorate and observe the brilliance of this gentleman, his physical life, his teachings, his legacy, which continues through us, his spirit continues through all of us. And in this place, we cannot help but remember the untimely death of his grandson last week in Mexico City, Malcolm Shabazz. So it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Jeff Robinson, PhD. He will be our next speaker. Dr. Jeff Robinson is a native of Detroit, Michigan, and a product of the Detroit public school system. He is currently the president of the Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy of the Detroit public school system, the nation's first public African-centered school specifically designed to address the needs of African American children. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, pre-law from Michigan State University, and a master's degree in educational administration from the University of Detroit Mercy. He also has a doctorate degree in African American and African Studies and Education and Policy from Michigan State University, and he was the first to be awarded a doctorate in African American and African Studies from Michigan State University. He is, yes. But the next voice you hear will be that of Jeff Robinson.
We say at Paul Robeson Malcolm X, Jumbo. Or for more common, how y'all doing? I have the esteemed pleasure of coming today to represent the Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy. Specifically, I was asked to give a few words on the influence of Malcolm on education today. And when given the task of speaking and commemorating one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful black men ever to grace this planet, in speaking and having the privilege of serving as the principal of a school that bears his name, the one thing that I remembered, I had the fortunate pleasure of being around when Malcolm X Academy was brought into existence here in Detroit Public Schools. And there were many who asked the founder of Malcolm X Academy, the late Dr. Clifford Watson, they asked, why would you name a school after Malcolm X? If you remember this city's history, when Malcolm X Academy was proposed, the city returned to what I have said in many papers, a state of the Deep South. They had all types of signs and protests that didn't want a school like Malcolm X to open in the city of Detroit. And they asked, why would you do that? And the reasons then stand as the reasons now as to why a Malcolm X Academy was needed. Because Malcolm represented that the way you start out does not have to represent the way you end up. That you can make a few mistakes, and never is that more correlated to what our children are going through today. They're making mistakes. They are making bad decisions, but in the midst of a bad decision, there's a good outcome that can come about. And that was why Malcolm X Academy was created and still strives strong here in the city of Detroit, within the Detroit public school system. I'm standing as a proud principal to say, don't believe the hype. There's a lot that's going on in Detroit public schools today, and I'm just the proud principal of the Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy, and I know that we have young scholars that are tomorrow's leaders. I remember being brought into a room, and this encapsulates one of Malcolm's visions on education. And I remember Dr. Watson taking me into a room, and there was a room filled with kindergartners and first graders in there, and they were slinging paint and crayons around, and he asked me, he said, what do you see? And I said, well, Doc, I see a room of kindergartners, and that one little brother just threw a crayon across the room. He said, no, what do you see, Robinson? And I said, gave the same answer. And he said, no, what you see is tomorrow's lawyers, tomorrow's teachers and judges, tomorrow's politicians. The one thing is they don't know it yet, and that's your job, is to teach it to them. You see, the one thing that Malcolm says to us through the annals of time is that we can't expect anyone to be more concerned about us than us. We can't allow anyone else to come in and take those processes that are inherent and ingrained within us and give that responsibility to someone else. We bring that home, and I encourage all of you to become a part of the fight to take back over our educational system. We can't allow something as important as the education of our children to be entrusted to somebody else that maybe they don't care as much about our children as we do. You know, I have children. I have a 15-year-old son. He's the youngest of all of our children, and I can't allow someone to come in and impose mediocrity on my son's future. And I think you and I as parents together, and that was something else that Malcolm spoke to us about, that whatever we do, it's got to be done together. What I like about it is how Malcolm changed, and he was at a point in his life before his death that he was ready to shed the barriers of religion and the barriers that keep people apart and come together in the name of justice and truth for black people. So with all that said, what I want to share with you today is that at Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy, I want you to know that African-centered education is alive and well. It may not be what we want it to be, but I know that it's better than it would be if we had stopped trying. And so we are there. We are within the Detroit Public Schools. And the one thing that we have done in these fiscal times, the arts have been stripped away from our schools. These schools, and for the most part, have become reading, writing, and arithmetic, and they get nothing else. And one of the endeavors that I have undertaken as principal was to return the arts. And so what we're about to introduce to you is the partnership between Detroit muralist Hubert Massey. If you know anything about art, then you've seen Hubert Massey's work around the city of Detroit. And Hubert Massey, little did we know when we embarked upon this project that Hubert Massey used to be a teacher under Ray Johnson at the Paul Robeson Academy. And if you wondered how Paul Robeson and Malcolm X came together, well, we had to save African-centered education in 2009-10 with Mr. Robert Bob, who was going to close our African-centered academies. And it was only through petitioning Mr. Bob and letting him know that you can't close the first public African-centered schools in the country. You see, we had to tell him that history because he didn't know it. He wasn't from Detroit. But we told him about what Paul Robeson and Malcolm X Academy meant, and he combined the two. And now we sit, you know, we had a bad fire that was 2 years old on last Saturday, and now we're in what was the Halley building at the corner of Linwood and Grove. But we are beating strong because our program did not reside within a building. It resided within the hearts, within the minds, and within the future of our children. So what you're about to view tonight, right now is the video announcing a mural project. Mr. Massey has partnered with Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy in an exclusive partnership where he is going to share his gift of art with some inner city children that have nothing but the world at their feet for them to conquer and enjoy. And again, if you know of anyone that needs a good African-centered public school, the best in Detroit, come to Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy. I think art adds color to our community. It adds color to where we live.
There will be no shades of anything. Everything will just be literally gray. It wouldn't be black or white, because those are two good colors you can, make with, which means it'll be very flat.
Probably wouldn't really like anymore, because I really do like art.
But I'll feel more disappointed and stuff. I'll feel comfortable that there's no art at school.
I feel really sad when I love to draw.
I feel bad because
I like learning new things and
just food without being fried, you know, just yuck.
When I was presented with the opportunity of bringing in a real art teacher, I jumped at it.
Well, my name is Nicholas Nagy, and I'm an art teacher here at Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy. Art's a form of creativity, and it's also a form of thinking. It's a thinking process, and it's about bringing creativity into that thinking process. And I don't care what job or occupation you choose to do when you get older. I think what's an important ingredient of that is bringing creative thinking into that problem solving.
Art is the glue that actually holds the disciplines together. We need creative thinkers. You're gonna have a creative thinker to move math. How do you get to be people like Einstein? And how do you get to be people like Martin Luther King?
Well, I guess I use most of my creativity when I'm doing math. I mean, I'll draw pictures to help me with my addition, subtraction.
They're the people who sit up there and they have ideals, and those ideals cross-reference different disciplines, and they see the entire picture, and that they make things move forward.
I try to tell them that arts pretty much encompasses all of society. Designing cars, we do things like designing clothing, designing shoes. I try to get them to think about some graphic design.
I guess the thing I like to do most in art is computer graphics.
So that all of this is hopefully planting a seed in their minds that, yeah, maybe 10 years from now, 15 years from now, this is something that I could be doing.
to me it's expressing how you feel and you can put it into your art. So for me, I like to just, whatever I'm feeling at the time, I'll just put it into my art, and eventually, sometimes I second guess myself, but then I realize that it's the best of me, and I realize I think it's beautiful at the end of the day.
Art is sort of the unspoken language. Kids communicate through drawings and pictures and diagrams and stick figures and all kinds of things. And kids are very creative. They may not know how to express themselves through words, but through pictures and creation of various objects, they're very expressive.
When somebody say mean things to me and stuff and hurt my feelings, I start doing something better, like I'm drawing. So I said I got a great idea. I'm like drawing myself, and like when I draw more things, it make me happy inside myself.
It was by happenstance that one of our teachers communicated with the Optimist Club. The question that was presented to him was, what would you like to see return to public education?
Then we all started reminiscing about, when we were in school and how we had art. And so we thought, great, that's the deal. That's what we're gonna do.
My name is Hubert Massey. I'm an artist, and I create public art based upon people's stories. Stories about their community, stories about their culture, stories about their history and all.
Art travels historically. So how it related to our particular school with their Africanness, and they bringing in the African art and getting children involved in art that reflects their history, it was almost a no-brainer. It was like peas and carrots, as Forrest Gump would say.
Somebody needs to tell the story of the city of Detroit. Somebody needs to tell that all the wonderful things that this city has established amongst, not only in the United States, but amongst the world.
I think primarily what we need to do is redefine what we consider to be a core education. I believe one of the main problems or mistakes that we have made is that we've not considered the arts as a part of the core.
Studies have been done that demonstrate that children, even lower income children who have access to art, score equally to kids who are more privileged.
When I just look at these paintings, I see different things about them, and they inspire me.
That's my favorite thing to do, like when I'm at home, I sketch and stuff, and then like when I'm here, I draw. It makes me feel happy, cause like this the only time I get like the job.
I want to make claymation movies when I grow up, and I want to win a trophy and stuff.
If you take the art out of it, our society would not have any color to it. It'd be it'll be strictly boring.
I feel like me. There's no other way to express how I feel in art because art is just a part of me now and there's no way to get rid of it. So it's, when I do, it just feels like a part of me is now here. Like a part of me been missing, but now I found that part.
I just thought it's only fitting for me to come back and be able to, inspire some kids so they can get involved in creating some artwork. And I think it'd be great for the kids' legacies. One thing about creating artwork with students, they get a sense of pride, they get a sense of accomplishment.